The summer movie season is upon us, and today on Time About the Movies, we're taking a look at the 4 films that make up the penultimate weekend before we get to the beginning of the summer season. We have a new Freddy Krueger in Rorschach. Jackie Earle Haley is Freddy Krueger in the new remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. Then we have something that might be even scarier than that, or at least that's what this trailer is making you think it is. Brendan Fraser in Furry Vengeance, Michael Caine starring in a Death Wish-esque clone in Harry Brown, and then even more scarier than Freddy Krueger. In fact, Freddy Krueger would probably look at this last movie and go like, Jesus, dude, let's lighten up. The Human Centipede first sequence, and we have a lot of interesting movies to talk about today. April 30th, 2010, Time About the Movies, coming your way next. Welcome to Time About the Movies. Today we are taking a look at the 4 films released on April 30th, 2010, and that's the trailer for our first movie that we have here, the remake of A Nightmare on Elm Street. After they had success the year before with Friday the 13th, they decided to do the same thing to Freddy Krueger, and needless to say, this one did not have the same success factor as that film did. I mean, it still was a hit, but in terms of the lasting impact it had, let's just say that any Nightmare on Elm Street movie that was panned in the past is thanking this movie because it's no longer the worst Nightmare on Elm Street movie. This one definitely is, and it's a remake of the classic Wes Craven film where it's set in the fictitious town of Spring. I don't even think they even say it in this movie, do they? It should still be Springwood, I believe it is, but it's set in the town of Springwood, Ohio, and centers on a group of teenagers living on one street who are stalked and murdered in their dreams by a disfigured man named Freddy Krueger, played here by Jackie Earle Haley after being played by Robert Englund in the past. And the teenagers discover that they all share a common link from their childhood that makes them targets for Krueger. Essentially, the fact that Krueger was, in the original movie, it was only thought of that he was maybe a pedophile and a child molester, but no, in this movie they definitely make you believe that yes, he is indeed a child molester, and yeah, that's mainly the reason why the adults in this town decide to just go and burn him alive, and thus we have the Freddy Krueger that we have in this movie. And here's the thing that really bugs me about the movie in general: the main consistent about this movie that's great is Freddy Krueger. Jackie Earle Haley's performance as Freddy Krueger is fantastic. If you're going to get anybody to replace Robert Englund, this is the guy to do it. I mean, he's got the voice, he's got the menace to him. I mean, this is Freddy Krueger back at being his scariest. I mean, the lines in this movie are much more scarier when coming out of his mouth. Like, the one that I always remember is when, you know, he kills one of the kids, and the kid, you think it's all over, and then you see the kid on the hook, and Freddy's just like, you know, the heart can last about 7 more minutes, so we got 7 minutes of heaven. Like, something like that, and just the way he says it, it's just like, that's really well done. That's a really good twist to add into there. Like, yeah, you could die by Freddy, but he's going to do whatever it takes to make any minute you have left a living hell. And sure enough, like, it works. I mean, he's the one consistent about this movie that makes this work. Everything is great about Freddy, except for the makeup. Yeah, we got to talk about that, because as great as the performance is, the makeup is a fucking mess, man. I mean, good lord. When you see Freddy with his makeup, I swear, it literally looks like he just got his face ripped off by a tiger or a monkey. This is the type of stuff you see on daytime talk shows where, you know, the person has a pet monkey and one day they go crazy and rip their face apart, and the face no longer looks like a normal person. It's just like, that's what it looks like in here. It does not look intimidating or threatening here whatsoever. Everything about that performance is great, except for the physical appearance. And yeah, it just looks absolutely horrible. I don't know what they were thinking with that front. But other than that, though, everything, I mean, other than the performance by Jackie Earle Haley, everything else about this movie is pretty forgettable and pretty terrible. The characters are stock overall. They basically redo the story from the original film, except now it's much more darker, there's more of a visual look to it, and even the kills that happen in this movie are not that scary whatsoever. Like, and there's way too many times in the movie where the people who's going to be killed by Freddy are just like, stay awake, don't wake up, and it's just like, I didn't know you could be like, don't wake up, and then all of a sudden it'd be like, nope, you're going to sleep anyway. Like, when has that ever happened in the history of mankind? I mean, honestly, like, when has that ever happened? Like you keep saying wake up, and it's just like, nope, not happening. It's just like, it just doesn't make any sense. And again, the kills in here aren't even all that special. They go right down to ripping off scenes from the first movie, and even with the kills they have, it's all just the same kills over and over again. The thing about the original Nightmare on Elm Street movies was that the kills in those movies were much more stylized, they were much more cool, they were more graphic, they were more grisly. In here, it's by the numbers, and really, I think that really is a lot of the major flaws with the film, is that it goes too by the book, and it just really doesn't work in general. And I feel like with more movies, they could have probably done a lot more with it, but other than that, though, it just really doesn't work at all. There's good people all over this movie in general. There's Rooney Mara, Connie Britton, Clancy Brown, Thomas Dekker, Katie Cassidy, Kellen Lutz, Kyle Gaynor. Good actors overall, but they're just really not given a whole lot to do. And again, it doesn't help that the film just goes by with these bland characters, bland kills, and makeup on Freddy that just looks absolutely abysmal, to the point where even Robert Englund has since disliked the remake in general, and he's gone on to reprise the role of Freddy and other things. Like, he was in that episode of The Goldbergs where he donned the makeup again. And kind of like with Friday the 13th, yeah, this was a hit when it came out, but the negative reviews prompted the studio to just say, we can't make any more of these movies. And yeah, they've never made another movie since then. There's never even been talks about another reboot since this one. And that just goes to show you how much nobody gave a crap about this movie. From the people who made it, to the people who went to go see it and then quickly forgot about it. It's the worst of the worst. It's the worst thing to come out of the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, and it's not even close, man. This makes movies like 2 that weren't as memorable more memorable now and more enjoyable than whatever this disaster of a film was trying to do. And also didn't help that Wes Craven was nowhere involved in the project, and he was still alive at the point, but he could have definitely helped this movie out a whole lot better. But then again, he would follow this up the next year with Scream 4, which, why did I say it that way? Scream 4, and that didn't work out very well either. We'll get to that next April, but in the meantime, this movie, yeah, it just wasn't worth it. Despite Jackie Earle Haley giving it the best to his abilities, it's still not enough to recommend this movie, so, yeah. Avoid this one like the plague. So, with that said, let's go ahead and move on to our next movie, and that is something that this trailer wants to claim is more scarier than Nightmare on Elm Street, Furry Vengeance.
So you're gonna take out the whole forest?
Yeah! But we're replacing it with a shopping mall with a forest theme.
Why are we all screaming? Like, seriously, that whole trailer is nothing but animals and people just screaming at the top of their lungs. People just using phrases that don't make a whole lot of sense. When Brendan Fraser sees a rock about to hit him, it's just like, Miley Cyrus! It's just like, really? Like, you can't, and if you still thought that that you didn't think this movie is taking anything seriously whatsoever, perhaps this will make you start to realize that.
Who wants a new Wii? Huh?
That's probably the most memorable scene in the movie. Why is he screaming about a Wii? Why is Brendan Fraser holding a Wii like it's a product placement? I mean, like, everything that you could think of that is wrong with this movie is in this fucking movie. The story is, hoping to make enough money through an overseas employee to live comfortably, real estate developer Dan Sanders, played by Brendan Fraser, manages to convince his son and wife to relocate in a remote corner of Oregon. Tyler does seem content after he meets with lovely Amber, but Tammy is concerned about her husband when he near hysterically claims that local creatures, including beavers, ravens, bears, fox, etc., have joined forces to sabotage his project. You also gotta love how the trailer starts off with him literally saying, "The animals are out to get me," and then the wife is just like, "Oh, you're completely talking out of your ass." And then as later on down the road, it's just like, "Yeah, I think you're actually ruining on their things." It's just like, where the fuck were you at the beginning of this? Like, you can see why Brendan Fraser decided to say, you know what, William Morris, you guys did enough for me, but this is a career killer for me. I've got to get the fuck out of here and away from you. And he moved over to Creative Arts, the CAA, which didn't really help until very late on down the road, but just be grateful that Brendan Fraser has won an Academy Award in the 15 years since this movie came out, because this thing could have easily been a career killer. You know what this is, honestly? This is a Brendan Fraser Surviving Christmas, or this is his Geely. This is the movie that is the bottom of the barrel for his career, and it could have easily destroyed his career in general. And he found a way back. It took a lot longer than Ben Affleck did, but at least he found his way back, and now he's an Oscar winner after saving his career pretty much. But yeah, I'm not going to defend this movie whatsoever. Even if it's on a so bad it's good level, it's still not worth watching. It's a movie that you look at it, it's clearly what it is. It's a mess. It's a disaster of a movie. It's a film that has to resort to nothing but screaming CG animals, bad comedy, lousy effects, gross out humor, just lazy pop culture references. Just, am I getting through to you? Furry Vengeance is a fucking terrible movie. Avoid it like the plague. So with that said, let's go ahead and try to move on to some much better movies. Here's Michael Caine as Harry Brown. If you tell Master Wayne this, I'll bloody bury you. Of course, this is Harry Brown, and of course Michael Caine was Alfred in the Batman movies, but here he plays a widowed Royal Marines veteran who has served in Northern Ireland during the Troubles, living on a London housing estate that is rapidly descending into youth crime. After a violent gang murders his friend, played by David Bradley, Harry decides to take justice into his own hands, and it's essentially a British version of Death Wish. I mean, it's literally the equivalent of Death Wish in general, but certainly a lot better than the Death Wish sequels, and honestly, it's not a bad movie per se. It's a film that is what it is. It's Michael Caine going around shooting young criminals, people who deserve to get their comeuppance. It's basically a modern version of Death Wish, and a good version of Death Wish. I mean, Michael Caine's pretty good in here. You also got Emily Mortimer, Ian Glenn, Jack O'Connell in here, one of his early film roles. And this is produced by Matthew Vaughn, one of his first films after Kick-Ass, and it's a really good movie. It's a film that delivers what it promises. It's a film that you gotta go knowing into it that it's just gonna be like Death Wish. But if you want a movie where instead of Charlie Bronson, it's Michael Caine in it as the man who's going around killing people, it is what it is. It delivers on what it promises, and it's a pretty good movie. It's definitely one I'd say definitely check out. Harry Brown, not much more to say about that one. So let's go ahead and move on to our last movie, and that is definitely the grossest of the 4 movies we have this week. And as I said at the beginning, this is one where even Freddy Krueger would take a look at this and go like, Jesus Christ, dude, lighten up already. And you'll see why in just a minute. This is The Human Centipede, the first sequence. I mean, good lord. I mean, I didn't think they were going to show it in the trailer for it, but then again, this might be one of those restricted trailers, but yeah, they show you it in the, yeah, it's much more terrifying than anything else we've looked at this week. The film concerns a deranged German surgeon who kidnaps 3 tourists and conjoins them surgically, mouth to anus, following the eponymous Human Centipede. It stars Dieter Lasser as Hofe Heiter, and Ashley C. Williams, Ashlyn Yenny, and Akira Kitamura as Heiter's victims. And I don't know what would convince this director, Tom Six, to say, I want to do a movie where I can sew 3 people together from mouth to ass and just watch the chaos happen. And someone out there said, sounds good, keep talking. And okay, maybe it was because it was an independent movie, because this is released by IFC Films. It was a Dutch film too, so then again, that kind of makes sense overall. A Dutch film with this type of a storyline here, and this was picked up by IFC Films, who acquired it after they saw it at Fright Fest, released it, and it didn't even do well at the box office. Really, I couldn't imagine why. Why would anyone want to go to the big screen and see a movie like this? But it did find life through home entertainment. On DVD and Blu-ray, it did go on to find success there, and I guess that's why they made the sequels after this. And trust me when I tell you, those sequels are much, much worse compared to this. I mean, it's a bizarre idea in general, and it's an idea that just makes you go like, you know, it's like that scene from Clerks 2 where, you know, they have the donkey show going on in the restaurant, and Rosario Dawson's character goes back in there. It's just like, goes back in the restaurant, she's just like, I'm disgusted, I'm repulsed, and yet I can't look away. It's just like, you look at it, it's just like, this is absolutely horrible, but there's just something that just keeps your mind invested on, just like, I hate this, but it's fascinating to watch. Like, it's definitely one of the most bizarre movies you will ever see in your entire life. I mean, this is a film that is going strictly for the gross out, and at least in this first film, it's a fascinating watch. Does it make it a great film? Oh God, no. It's one of those movies where I would literally say, you need to be, if you're extremely squeamish or you don't like really bad gross out, like, this is definitely a film I would say avoid this one like the plague. But if you are willing to accept crazy imagery like this, give it a shot. I mean, it's a movie that is so bizarre and so out there that it makes it worth it in the end. But I would never recommend this, people, to anybody who I don't think would find a movie. If anybody out there is extremely squeamish, I would definitely say avoid this one like the plague. But as it is, if you're willing to watch dark stuff in general, sure enough, this is probably for you. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you on this one here. This is pretty messed up in general, no matter how you think of it. But that was, of course, The Human Centipede, the first sequence. So after that lovely, delightful note, we're going to wrap this episode of Time About the Movies up here. But, of course, the next time we meet, it's the summer movie season. And, of course, we're starting off with one of the big new releases right from the get-go. That is, of course, Robert Downey Jr. back in Iron Man 2, alongside with Gwyneth Paltrow and newcomers Don Cheadle replacing Terrence Howard as Rhodes, Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow, and Mickey Rourke as Whiplash. So we'll see if that one can beat up with the original film in general, but that's the movie that kicks off the summer season, and only one movie has the nerve to go up against Iron Man. Babies. That's literally the name of the movie, Babies. But we'll delve more into those two movies tomorrow on the show, so definitely looking forward to getting into the summer season. So with all of that said, thank you so much for watching this. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, the subscribe button, and the notification button, and also don't forget to hit our playlist as well as the last episode. With all that said, I'm heading off, and whether it's in the past, the present, or the future, I will see you at the movies. Take care.